Just a moment.
Any current events?
Us?
Events. I don't think there is right now.
Tariffs. Tariffs.
Oh, we don't want to get into that. All right, here we go. Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup technology. And now, please give a warm welcome for your host, Brian Sparks!
Yeah, there goes the t-shirts into the crowd. Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks.
They love you. It's just so wonderful.
You calm them down, Brian.
Okay.
Emotional, damn it!
All right. Everybody, calm it down. Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Good to see you, Brian.
Nice to see you too.
I'm feeling good, but you know the purpose of the show.
Oh God! If I don't know the purpose of this show by now, there's something wrong with me.
Yes,
But I really don't. I'm going to have to read the notes.
Yeah.
I think one day I should read the notes.
I think there
Can
we
I
go.
read the purpose of the show notes one day?
We can shake it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, the purpose of the show is to have great conversations with people like this in the audience. I mean, in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have 3 people today.
Wait, to have conversations like this for what purpose? Oh, you don't have you don't have your notes in front of you, do you?
I've drawn a blank. Yeah, I'm freezing. I'm a deer in a headlight right now.
Wow. That's okay. Anyway, we'll get going. So anyway, the purpose is to have these great conversations, to build community and provide information for businesses so they can get better at what they do.
Yeah, and so that you can make an impact within your own.
Make an impact within your own.
Yeah, I knew we'd get there.
I'm with you.
All right, so now that we've dragged our audience through tooth and nail through the opening here, actually, that was pretty good, Brian. I got to walk that back.
Yeah, I don't think our audience is objecting to any of that. I think our audience loves me. Everybody who ever sees me loves me. I mean, why wouldn't they want more of me?
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
We can move on.
Let's bring my buddies into the equation here. We got 3 guys in the studio who are personal friends of mine, and I'd like to introduce Paul, Tony, and Daniel. Good to see you all, fellas. Thanks for showing up today.
Good to be here.
Howdy, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So all of you who are listening can get to know a little bit about these 3 wonderful gentlemen. I'll let them do their intro, and then we'll dive in. I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, I'm Vice President at Marble Bridge Funding Group. We are a growth capital vehicle as an alternative to banks. We work with startups, early stage small businesses, as well as longer small businesses that have been kind of lifestyle businesses. I love working with companies. I love meeting new people. And a fun fact I can get more into later, I did have a career of sports. I worked like 2 decades in sales side in pro sports.
Nice. Yeah, and I was going to say, you have not only experience in pro sports, but radio.
Yes. My major is in radio and television.
Yeah, you've got some experience in that. And so do you got any tips for me?
You're doing good so far.
So far, so good.
I like the banter.
Yeah.
We'll have more banter later.
Brian's really carrying the show, so I just figured I'd pick your brain for that. But good to have you here, Paul. I know we've talked we talked for a long time about getting you in here on a routine basis so that we could talk about sports and investing and really going after that segment, because there's a lot of movement there. There's a lot of interesting stories and investors, but we can dive into that and maybe go down that road in the future. So thanks for being here.
You bet.
All right, Tony.
Sorry.
Superpower connector, great guy, the man with the best hat in the West. He brings it into the studio.
I know. We made him take his hat off for the headphones.
So those of you who can watch this on YouTube, check out the hat. But Tony, good to see you, buddy.
Good to be here. I know we've been trying to do this. I'm glad you made this happen.
Yeah, and you sat on the panel of an event we had a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were at Foothill College giving a pitch and panel, and you were there with a few other wonderful gentlemen, and man, you crushed it. So for those of our audience who weren't there, give a little quick introduction about what you're up to.
Sure. So Tony Zirnoon, I am a connector. I guess that's what it took me a few years to realize who I was. I started my career as a practitioner in cybersecurity, of all things. Mm-hmm. So I was the guy managing firewalls and things like that. I realized that I was a connector, so I started connecting. First was in business development, creating strategic partnerships. In the last 6-7 years, I founded an entity called Human Capital Ventures. And initially was to help early stage startups connect innovators to their buyers, to their channel. COVID happened. They didn't have money. They say, hey, you're a connector. Can you connect us with money? So I started kind of building an angel group. So I'm part of a few of them. Mm-hmm. And you and I both are venture partners with Ignite. So we're helping build a community. You were talking about sports. It's a sports game. You know, I mean, this is a sport, right? This is everybody pulling together, building a community. So today I'll just, what I do, it's a passion of mine. What do you do for fun? I connect people. I'm networking, I'm doing that. I just now connect with a purpose. Mm-hmm. And that is to help the startups and also help revive the angel community, right? I think we talked about it quite a bit. So,
sure, and we'll talk a little bit more about human capital ventures, like what's the direction of that and how our audience can connect with you, as well as Marble Bridge Capital, what you guys are doing. And we'll talk about the overarching theme and strategy of business in terms of building communities and being a connector. And what are some insights to that? Because I think great founders are great connectors as well. They find resources. And by no stretch of the imagination, is there any exception here with Daniel? You're a great connector. You've been extremely resourceful in your startup. So for those in our audience who don't know who you are, give a little intro about what you're up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Daniel Donaldson. My company is Eve Vehicles. We're providing on-demand video to first responders to make sure that they are hyper efficient with how they're allocating their resources in real time. I have a background in enterprise resource planning technology, implementing solutions that are helping people kind of be efficient with resources. And I saw the need for something like that in real time with organizations that are actually out in the field. And so those drones will show up to your 911 call before anybody else. Make sure that they know if they're bringing a fire truck that's going to cost them $2,000, that it should actually be there. And that's about it.
Nice. And you're, Brian, Daniel flew in here out of Austin.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has the record yet of distance traveled, but I think our audience has
like Saudi Arabia. So I'm
that's right.
I'm not sure where Austin is exactly, but I got a feeling it's just a little closer than
that's true. I forget.
East.
We've had Saudi Arabia, Kuwait in here. That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, for this country, maybe that for domestic flight.
Yeah, I was about ready to hand over the title, but I'm glad you have you pump.
We had a long conversation about Austin. I was telling him it's like the Bay Area South.
Yeah.
Right, because everybody from here seems to have gone there and come back.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive in it. So Daniel, we'll come back. We'll hear a little bit more about what you're building, and you launched this last year, I believe it was. Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
We made our debut in the Bay last year. We launched it August 2021.
That was at Startup Grind too, right?
Yeah, that was in Startup Grind.
Yeah, we've had James in here, and so I think that's where I remember first. And you guys did well. I mean, you did a pitch, got recognized, and you've been just plugging along ever since. And we'll do a deeper dive into how that journey has been, because a lot of our audience is in startup and they're going to hear how you've been just grinding, and then the unique selling proposition of what you're putting together, because I think what you're putting together is really cool, and it's actually going to be the next wave, I think, of drones as first responders. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm using that term. I'm sure you can redefine that for this.
Oh, drone as first responder is perfect.
That's good. Did I nail it? Okay, good. All right, done. All right, so let's get into this idea about. I mean, we've all known each other for a while now. We know that building community in terms of becoming more resourceful, aligned, and accelerating, and gaining access to the resources you need, whether you're a VC or whether you're a service provider or a startup or anyone who's looking to scale in Silicon Valley, all over the world. But all of you have really taken the strategy of putting people first and providing value and connecting and watching them thrive before really kind of asserting, what you're doing. But yet that's the game. We're here to kind of, do well in business, but yet you all have really put your best foot forward in terms of providing a value add. Well, Paul, let's start with you a little bit. I mean, step in at any point here, because I think our audience needs to hear this. I think it's a big movement towards building community. How did it come to you that this is going to be your strategy? Was it just kind of a natural inclination, your superpower? But you've really done well for yourself. I mean, if I'm anywhere, people are saying that, Tony and Paul, the connectors, right? You kind of hear a collective. What kind of had you moving in this direction?
So I mentioned my career in sports. And similar to Tony's comment about being a connector, I learned pretty quickly I was a really good connector. And I just love meeting new people. I love talking to new people and hearing their story. But when I was in sports, I was selling tickets. And you think about the fastest way to sell tickets, it's someone going online and clicking a button. But I wanted them to call me. I wanted them to know who I was. So I grew my business when I worked in that field that way, and I realized I was good at it. So it just comes down to what's your trade, what's your product, and where do you drive value? And I go into that all the time, add value to the people you're working with. Because that's where you're building strong relationships if you genuinely care about helping them.
Well, let me double, because for years I heard that, provide value. And sometimes people hear that and they go, oh yeah, of course, I do provide value. And then they insert their own opinion of what value is. How have you strategically defined values for others?
Yeah, the connection starts by finding out how you help them. The art of the referral, right? Like the art of the referral is actually being someone that's willing to give referrals. So when I think about hearing what Brian does or what Tony does or Daniel does, I'm going to listen to what their needs are. What's their problems that they're dealing with currently? Who do they want to meet? Who do I know in my network that would really want to meet them, and vice versa? And if you're intentional about making those connections, you're helping people.
What about the people who say, well, that's a good way to lose business? Like if a couple people walk in the room and I say to myself, oh, there's two potential clients for me, but really you're saying, no, those two need to meet each other before I start thinking about those are two clients for me. How does somebody kind of leap beyond that and get this abundance mindset?
Yeah. Well, I think if you're automatically saying that, you don't think you're the best product or you're the best offer in that situation. So to me, I think you need to fix what you're offering or what you're selling. Like I truly believe in the capital that I am giving businesses in what I do at Marble Bridge Funding Group. I know where I fit in the equation. I think they should go get money from a bank first. And if they can't, I know that I'm the best alternative. And that's the alternative between somebody that wants to grow their business through equity or they want to grow it through debt. So I know where I fit in the ecosystem. And I generally can have a conversation with somebody and know if I'm a good fit. And I'll even refer them to a bank if I think they're a better fit for a bank.
So there's a lot there to really define and unpack. That's good. So for our audience who just kind of heard what you said, tell us a little bit about what Marble Bridge Capital does with debt. Like unpack that a little. What does that mean?
Yeah. So I'll say it for you. Marble Bridge Funding Group, we do give capital, but I wanted to correct you quickly. So Marble Bridge Funding Group's our company. We do accounts receivable financing. So any type of debt you take, the borrower is giving collateral of some sort. So in our business, the collateral for us is your client owes you money. You sent them an invoice, you provided them a product or service, and they owe you money. So I'm willing to give it to you ahead of time at a cost. I'll take interest by giving you the money early. And then when they pay you, I get paid back. And that's kind of the model, but it allows somebody who's paying for goods or services to sell that product to be able to fund the next order. So that's how we're helping growth, is that we're giving them money when they're waiting for a sale to come in. I think everybody thinks I make something for $100, or I make something for $100, I sell it for $200, I make $100. The question becomes is when do you get the $100? And that's managing cash flow. And I think most founders don't think about those things, and they're not trained to. They're experts in what they're experts in. That's why you need to have good financial stacks, good financial experts in how you're going to build your company.
So two questions really quick. Who is your ideal client? Like who could benefit from this? And then when would be the best time to deploy this strategy if it's for them?
Yeah, great question. I think it starts from when you started the business, where do you want it to be, right? So someone that's raising equity cash, they want a really big business because the person giving them money wants really big returns. So they're trying to grow their business to a certain level. When you're looking at a debt option, depending on what stage you're in, you're not going to grow as fast as you could from equity, but I would argue it's cheaper. And I think that's the point of where the owner is saying, I want to take control of this business at that point. When you're talking to me, I'm servicing businesses that may have just started or have been going for a long time and are just under 50 million in revenue. But I also have helped companies that are 50K in revenue. So when you need me is you got a new contract or a new sales opportunity that you're worried you don't have the cash for. That's when I'm the type of person you want to talk to.
So two questions. One, does debt equity or debt funding get a bad rap? And
Absolutely.
And how do we kind of educate around that? And then two, when can someone come and apply for this option? Is it when they think they can capture market share, or is it they have contract in hand? When can they come to you?
Yeah, I would say the moment they think they might need me, they should come to us. The difference between us and other firms out there is we're a relationship-based firm. I think the general founder is like, I need money now. I'm going to go online and submit a form and get cash as fast as I can without looking at all the red tape. And I think that's the part where we get a bad rap, is what I do, accounts receivable financing, it's also called factoring, can be the other F word to some people because they've had a bad experience. And I've seen a lot of bad actors. And what happens to those companies is they take several losses because they didn't operate efficiently. And then they go and become what I would call an MCA, which is called a merchant cash advance business. Those companies, and what that term is they say they're AR funding, but they're actually taking money out of your account directly. So they'll take money out every week. And that's part of the equation is like you can look at the interest costs, but what's the liquidity? And what that means is how much money you're getting and at what period of time are they taking it back from you. So if they're taking it every week, then that hurts your liquidity significantly. So those are the things that I think people have to look at. It's complex. I'm trying to make it uncomplex in this discussion. But the simple math is, if you have an invoice and you need the money now, there's options out there, but you have to do a cash flow model to make sure which one's right for you.
I love it. And did you have?
I was just going to ask how often are you meeting companies that almost kill themselves with their success because of like net 30, net 60 terms?
Oh, so frequently.
Yeah.
I think the thing that drives me nuts is the ones that took the bad loan.
Yeah.
So I run into the ones that just see a piece of paper and are like, oh, I get $500,000. Great. Wait, that company's telling you to pay them back $2 million though in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? Well, I needed the money.
That's like credit card debt.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, especially if they're taking that money back immediately.
Yeah.
You have to do the math. It's your business. Like, what's your gross margin in your business? How much money are you making on every sale? You have to know those numbers when you start doing this. If you don't know those numbers, that's where I find people go into a lot of equity financing because it's what they know. It's what's been sexy. It's how these billion-dollar companies have come about because they grew really fast. They were there first.
Tony, go ahead.
I think that a lot of people, I didn't know until I talked to you. I mean, everything you said, that was the So thank you for, your audience now knows about this. You and I have had, conversations and referrals and things like that. And some of them like, look, I cannot help them as human capital venture or part of the angel group or not. But when I look at them like, wow, do you know there's another alternative way for you instead of going, there's a cost of money that you pay, short-term, long-term. I think there's opportunity for education, awareness that comes about this. And so hopefully their audience now knows about it and can learn more about it.
One of the big reasons, too, is this all comes down to whoever gives you the money, what's their cost of money, right? So if their money is really expensive or more expensive than a bank, it always will be, they don't spend a lot of money marketing, right? Because then they have to charge more. It's like, just think about insurance today, right? They're going to have to charge more. So it's the same thing in finance. That's why you don't hear about companies like ours marketing very often. If you hear an alternative finance company spending thousands of dollars marketing, it's a problem because then that means your money costs more.
Yeah.
So when people come to you, it sounds like what the line of work you're in, and you're one of the rare who really, again, you put people first, you find connections, give them options, but you've become this trusted advisor. And so educating the market as this being a viable option that isn't traditionally sexy, as you called it, how can we start to create that narrative that, look, no, this is a realistic option that isn't going to put you under, like Daniel, you're talking about. Where do we begin with this narrative and this education to become a trusted advisor in this space?
Well, you're doing it now. I mean, the fact that we're able to have this conversation and talk about it in depth and talk about the options that companies have, this is what I've been trying to do, right? Like for our business is be an advocate, but be an educator. Go to panels, go talk about access to capital. Have partners in those industries and have those conversations. But I think too, like people have gone to college now as entrepreneurs. You get an entrepreneurial degree, an MBA. The whole focus is getting venture funding, and getting additional capital behind you becomes from venture funding. And I don't knock it one bit, but I think it just becomes, does the founder want to own more of their company? Or do they want to have less control and have a really, really big company? And they have to know what they want the company to be. They have to realize it's their choice. And I think that's part of it. But I am here to help genuinely. And we know our business really helps companies, and we've seen it.
I love it. So let's, Tony, let's jump in on this. Talk about more of these options and opportunities of helping. From the perspective of human capital ventures, where do you find the need for the greatest help of for startups? And they all need something a little bit different, as Daniel will attest to, at different stages. But really, where does your superpower and your company come into play in terms of funding and what you're working on?
Yeah. So the motto for Human Capital Ventures when I started it was to help a very crowded space in cybersecurity. Too many vendors, right? How do you differentiate yourselves? They're all trying to get to their buyers, and then obviously trying to get some money as well. As they grow, they want channels. That's what I've done. The motto is the trusted human bridge network for cybersecurity and adjacency as I get pulled into crypto, fintech, and now AI. So the path forward is to build that trusted relationship. And if I have built that, and I can go and pick up the phone or send a note to, I don't know, the chief information security officer of Starbucks, and I get a response, there's value that I'm bringing to you in this very crowded space. That's the bridge that you're going through. Right?
So let me double click on that for a minute. There's clearly, a value add that you're bringing, but you have a lot of experience in partnerships. Where did you see the greatest pain point from those who you were helping? And if you could just say, hey, they're really hurting here, so I saw this opportunity to shore that. What does that look like?
I think in U.S. there's a culture deficiency when it comes to building partnerships. I would say, going back to what we're talking about, and it starts as startups or big partners. When you go and try to network and build a trusted network, connect with a purpose, figure out what that purpose is, not with an agenda. A lot of people connect with an agenda, and that's what we were talking about. People can read through that. That's not how you build trust. Be vulnerable. Hey, what can I do for you, right? If you're wired that way, like we are, things work organically. It just comes back, right? And people want to pull in, they pull in, and you go and help them. When it comes to partnerships, it's a similar thing. What's in it for me is not what's in it, you have to think about what's in it for us. How do you make the 1 + 1 = 3 or more as I build partnership? Whether you're doing a business with FireEye, we were talking about earlier, or Cisco's or Palo Alto's in my world, you need to figure out these two things need to become 3 or more. Or if you're going and build a channel partnership, you have to change your mindset. The channel partners are not people just bring you leads, right? You can't just go stuff the channel and just say, oh, bring me leads, or else I'm just going to get you here. He brings me 3 deals, and I'm going to go to the next one. That's not how channel partnerships are built. It's built on trust. So you have to figure out it's a symbiotic relationship, and you have to be as invested in it as your partner is in you, because ultimately you want their mind share. How do you get a mind share? How do you build trusted friendships, right? It's that vulnerability that you bring into it, right? So what I've been doing is really trying to bridge that gap that exists in a very crowded cybersecurity market, where everybody sounds the same, looks the same, and I often joke, what's the biggest area of investment in cybersecurity? And I can quiz you guys, and one says network, one says endpoint, another one says cloud. And I would tell you, all of you are wrong. It's marketing, right?
Oh, tell me more. Yeah, tell me more.
So, a lot of people are doing that, and they all sound the same sound bites, acronym soup, right? It's really hard to differentiate. A lot of them are techies. They're not very good storytellers. They put a lot of effort in the product market fit. I'd say 80% of them, I don't care if they come from the IDF or the 8200 or IIT or wherever you go, or MIT. Very good at building tech. The next evolution is tech to product. But they're all almost failing on the GTM, go to market.
So, okay, I mean, that just kind of leaves me like a gasp, because I think we take it as kind of like, that's where you begin. It's the natural approach. Where do you think the biggest disconnect is? And I'll kind of like answer my own question and then let you kind of build on it. We had Franz in here from Opus Clips. He's in partnerships. I think you've heard the show. And what he said about the benefit of partnerships and being a connector and finding the right resources, the right team, is that when you get two people together, it creates a unique selling advantage. I think a lot of people often think is, well, if I bring somebody in, they're going to help my deal flow. And they look to kind of just, suck them for what they're worth, and then out they go. But they don't look from their perspective like, hey, how can I position you well? So where do we begin with this idea of marketing in this space that we could have our audience walk away with? And the reason why I'm going with this is that we're talking about unique resources. One being connector. You find somebody who's a connector, that's a unique resource. And then I'm going to finally land on Daniel, because he's put together a great team and he's slowly building technology and the infrastructure of the technology, not just the drones. We didn't really talk about that, but that's really what's unique about you, Daniel, is you're seeing the big picture. And I think connectors see the big picture and they look to bring everybody with them, as opposed to have all roads lead through themselves. They want to see so much go through others. So how do we position those who are responsible for sending the message out, like you're saying, and then getting them to see it from the market's perspective and communicating it effectively?
Yeah, I think it's a journey, right? When you look at channels and partnerships, a very tactical thing, or you're being very myopic, right? This is why what I've done is strategic partnerships and alliances, and even looking at channel partnerships, I look at them that way. I think that you need to invest in this as a long-term relationship. This is not, it's not about creating a Barney type relationship, sign a contract, I love you, you love me. No, it's about really sitting down and say, we're doing it for a purpose. The purpose is to grow both of us. That single value prop is 1 + 1 must equal 3. If it's equal to 2, it's not worth doing it. If it's equal to 1, that means you're doing an M&A.
Yeah.
Right? So if you think about those things and you look at it and treat it as a relationship building, and you're not rushing into getting a deal here, a deal there, and then just sucking through, then you're going to think about it. Oh, okay, I'm getting into a long relationship. I'm building these strategic partnerships, right? So how do you market this? Well, it's a lot of education. You have to reshift what partnership means to you, right? It's how you show up. For those of us that are connector, Daniel and I were talking about, I cannot stop it. I already have 2 partners for him. One of them mentioned, the other one I haven't. It's just kind of like how
I could hear Daniel smile right now. Yeah. It must have been a good one. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
So it's just how we're wired. I have no agenda other than, hey, look, this is great. What he's doing is purposeful, right?
Yeah.
How can we make it better? If this is great, fantastic. Let's do that, right? It doesn't do any good in being in my head, right?
So I think, go ahead.
To his point where he's saying 1 + 1 = 3, he knows the third person. He's bringing them into the equation. They just didn't talk about it yet.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing is actually what you said earlier, Paul, is it's not only the education piece, but the empathy piece. Like, what value do they really need first? And then I'll educate them on how that may solve a pain point, as opposed to coming in and saying, oh, I have this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, buy it, buy it, buy it. No, okay, buy. Yeah. You're really this empathetic individual who then educates based on what their pain point is, and then looks to supply a resource for that. And I think what we were talking about earlier about becoming that trusted advisor in the space is really the hallmark of great connectors.
I tell you one thing, one caveat that people fail, and it's very quick for them to put themselves out of these trust circles. I only ask for two things, two governing values for whatever I do, and you've heard this. One is integrity, and the other one is honor. It has to matter.
And
right
good
now.
wine.
And good wine, yeah. And maybe cigars or whatever, right? But I think that if you don't have that, we cannot build a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Because to do that, you have to build trust. To build trust, you have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And if everything you're relying on is on a black and white, that's great. Build any transactional relationships you want to have. But we're not going to have a trusted relationship, and you're not going to get access to my trust circle.
I like that.
And if you come in,
We'll
go
get
out.
that.
I just want to take 1 second to point out to our listeners how many times we've heard some version of that. If anybody out there that's listening to our show hasn't gotten a hold of that yet, everybody that comes in here, Brian, and again, maybe they're just part of your circle, but this idea of trust and honor is a through line for the entire show and on almost all the guests that we've had on. I just really wanted to emphasize that because I think it's easy to just blow past it and say, oh yeah, whatever, relationships.
Yeah, it's not just a talking point. It is really embedded in the character of a thriving ecosystem. But before we pivot to Daniel, I want to make sure that we take our break. And then when we come back, Daniel, we're going to talk about how you have taken the resources that you've been dealt and built a great team, and you're building this infrastructure for a great product and really looking to challenge the ecosystem of first responders. So we'll talk about that when we come back. All right, we're back with my good friends, Paul, Tony, and Daniel. And we're just kicking around the purpose of building community, being a connector, providing value. We're getting insight into what Paul and Tony do. However, I want to drop the next question and next opportunity and conversation in your lap, Daniel. Talk about a little bit more about e-vehicles and what you're doing or what you're hearing here that may be of benefit to kick around for our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing here at Eve Vehicles is providing the critical information that first responders really need before they show up for these situations. As you can imagine, people are having one of the worst days in their life, calling 911 that day. First responders are usually walking into something a little bit spooky, and just having that critical piece of information by sending a drone before anybody else is sometimes everything to these people. It's the difference between life or death for the person or even for the first responder. But more on a resource level, what we're doing is saying, you really don't need that fire truck here. Or, hey, this is a flipped over Camry, but there's a whole bunch of kids stuffed in the back, so we need like the whole EMS armada to come to this situation. And so we're making sure that those resources are extremely efficiently managed for the day. And then we're also making sure that if they're not bringing something that would save somebody's life, that they're going to bring that after all.
Yeah, I would hate for a really needed situation to be depleted of resources because a not so important situation is happening and everyone's just standing around saying we didn't need to be here. Is that essentially the problem you're
Absolutely.
Or sending too many vehicles for the situation. Highway 17 is a perfect example of this here in Los Gatos, where maybe they don't need 6 vehicles for an issue, right? And so maybe you don't have to deploy that much, and you can save on the resources and the expense of.
Daniel's got a great story about the football-sized fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one that just happened here?
No, his guys. Go ahead. I'll let you tell the story.
Okay.
That's a good story.
No problem. So yeah, that is exactly what happens. Is basically by 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on the really large city, there's been enough of a resource waste that's happened over and over and over again throughout the day that all of a sudden you're holding for 911 for 9 minutes. You're waiting for 40 minutes to even 2 hours sometime for somebody to come and help you. And if it's a really serious situation, that's an unacceptable timeline at the end of the day for bringing you help. So what he's talking about with the football field size fire is that often when people call into 911, they're giving extremely inaccurate information. They're just freaking out about something. They want to make sure that first responders actually do show up. They've heard all the horror stories about people waiting a really long time to get help. And so an instance of that happened at our pilot customer in Bee Cave, Texas, where a football field sized fire was reported by the 911 caller. She was freaking out. She was like, it's next to an apartment complex. Like, you'll really need to bring everybody out. And about 20 fire trucks from remote areas were dispatched to this area. 8 EMS vehicles, 6 police officers were all dispatched to this one area. And our drone actually showed up to that same 911 call, and almost a comically small fire that was being worked by a construction crew was the actual source of that fire that she was talking about. And so by telling all these people who were heading from 30, maybe 40 minutes away from this fire to come help, that they can just go ahead and turn around, we were able to save the majority of about 90 grand that day for that one situation. It's not the only time that this has happened. You know, there was another incident we used to talk about before our pilot, where in Austin, a grandma was just walking her dog, and she was looking at the floor-to-ceiling windows inside of an apartment complex. She saw a massive fire inside of one of the apartments, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like, y'all need to send everybody." We ended up sending like 30 fire trucks to that one because it was an apartment complex among apartment complexes. It could get really out of hand really, really fast. I've actually been in an apartment fire in one of my own apartments at one point in time. And they got to the situation, they're like, we can't even find any smoke. Like, what's going on? And what it was a 70-inch TV playing one of those live fireplaces.
The Yule log. The Yule log.
And the grandma just saw that. She freaked out. You know what I mean? She thought that there was a real fire,
virtual fire,
right?
Yeah.
And it was literally a 4K virtual fire. And so, as you can imagine, like, just this stacks up over and over and over again in these highly populated areas where people just they're calling it because, honestly, I mean, it's good for them to call. It's their civic duty to report emergencies to first responders when they see them. And we don't want people to stop doing that or be afraid to do that. But what we can do is send a drone that's only going to cost like 1/66 the cost of sending a human being out there to make sure that what we're showing up to actually needs somebody at it.
I have a great idea for you. You should
Love to hear it.
ask them to, for any dollar they save you, they should pay you Dogecoins.
Oh, okay. That's over Pierce.
Tony the connector, making it happen right here in real time.
Connecting the dots. Oh, that's great. And so, Daniel, you've put together, I mean, you're talking a lot about the actual drone itself, but you're also in the process of setting up the infrastructure for this. I mean, you're not just buying these drones wholesale, slapping a chip in there and deploying them. You're setting up
Yeah,
a lot
so
more.
we do our own drone, our own Nest, our own user interface, our own fleet management. We've kind of been vertically integrated. At least within robotics and drones, it's still much cheaper to build your own things and scale with your own things than it is to go purchase something from somebody else. You know, we're talking anywhere from 60 to 150 to sometimes even 300 grand for me to purchase that all-in-one platform and then place it somewhere. And we only charge anywhere from $90,000 to $180,000 a year, depending on the service you're getting. And so
that's less than one officer.
Yeah, exactly. And so it just doesn't really make sense for us to not make our own stuff at this point, especially since like landed, we're under 20 grand in order to actually set that thing up. But essentially, yeah, the services that we're providing right now, I think is going to become kind of a new category, almost called data on demand. And we're just setting up the backend infrastructure, the drones, the network, everything that needs to actually be set up for providing that data to either personnel or to artificial intelligence so that they can make real-time decisions based on something. So you can kind of think of our system once we're set up in a city as being able to view anything that you want within 3 minutes, right? And make incredibly efficient decisions based off of that. So whether it is like whether we're showing up to a first response call and saying like, do we really need that fire truck there? Or showing up to a hail disaster and saying like, which of these roofs actually need to be repaired, right? So all of that kind of data on demand, that in real life data that's going to become incredibly valuable for autonomous systems is something that we're going to be able to provide for people with that kind of infrastructure.
I think you're onto something really interesting. It's not about the data, it's about extracting the intelligence
Yeah.
and democratizing that, right? I mean, real time that insight that is actionable, right? I think
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what our platform's all about, is just providing the insight that they can actually take action on and derive value from, and then there's infrastructure that has to be built to make that happen.
Yeah, Brian, I seen you chomp at the bit of.
So I got a two-part question about logistics. These are drones flown by human beings, correct?
Sometimes.
Okay. And the ones that are being flown by human beings, are those people on call like firefighters? They're like sitting, waiting for a call to get out and fly their drone, and once the call comes in, they spring into action?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the dispatching of a drone, meaning like telling this drone where it needs to go, and then you can even control what that drone is looking at, whether you're zoomed in or zoomed out of something, you can track something. All of that is so easy at this point to where it's just like a video game. Like a dispatch who has no pilot experience can click on a target and tell the drone like, hey, I want to go look at this thing, and the drone will pilot itself. Now, when there's a little bit hairier situations going on where public safety just like really needs to make sure that they're in control of that drone, we do have remote pilots that are almost always former public safety that can take control of that drone and start to kind of figure out the situation, make sure that they're driving correctly. It's incredibly difficult to be able to look at a public safety situation and understand which target you should be focusing on and why, right? Should we be focusing on the victim because it's important for first responders to know where they are and what's happening to them? Should we be focusing on the perpetrator to understand where they're going? It's something that you really need first responder experience to understand.
Got a burning question.
Yeah, get it.
Pun intended. Did the LA County call you in? I mean, all these fires, we didn't know what's going on. You're there. You could have told them about the water not being there. You could have told them about where the fires are, where to dispatch.
Well, he's in Austin, so we got to get him.
Is that what it is?
We got to get him a contract out here.
Okay.
Well, with that attitude, he's never going to show up.
Yeah. Do you have a connection?
There's a lot to be passionate about that these kind of back-end infrastructures like autonomous drone networks are going to be able to pull off for us. There's a company that I know of that is doing something very similar to that I find extraordinary, and maybe there'll be an acquisition target for us one day or something. But with public safety in particular, why I'm so passionate about it, I have a co-founder who started Austin PD's drone program about 15 years ago. He showed me an incident where with his drone, he was both able to get a child to safety through the information he was providing, and then immediately turn around and save an officer's life as well from one shooter. And just the impact of that, right? Just having the right information in that situation, just knowing like, hey, we can actually remove the kid from this situation. Hey, this guy's about to shoot our officer, and knowing it in the split second, being able to save somebody's life. It was so incredibly impactful to me. I was like, there's nothing cooler that we could possibly be doing in drones right now. And so that's why it's kind of our first problem that we're showing up to.
Can your technology yet detect prevention, or is it just what's happening? So I bring that up for like a lot of fires have started because of power lines or fire risks, right? Like, is that something you're building on or already have, or is that in the plans?
So yeah, it's one of the things that will. So for instance, Austin, their peak hours has like 200 911 calls that they're trying to service, which means that's the amount of drones at a minimum that we really need to be servicing those 911 calls. Now, what those drones are doing when they're just kind of sitting on their hands is a whole nother thing, right? It can be used for things such as maintaining utilities, understanding where those utilities might fault in the future. And just showing up to also their own emergency situations that they have in utilities as well. Now, as far as like having some minority report like level of preventative understanding, that's not really our bag necessarily. We believe in letting someone do the actions that they're going to do, and then taking care of whether they broke the law from there.
Who's piloting, or who's responsible for the piloting of the drones and maintaining the infrastructure? Is it turned over to the county or the city, the state dispatch unit, or are you constantly in the mix deploying these drones, or is it a collaboration? Because what I'm thinking is if a county has 200 drones and 90 of them aren't being used right now, could they sublet that out to PG&E to go look at hotspots through the county, or is that maintained by you?
So we own and maintain everything that's in the backend network. For public safety, all we're guaranteeing really is that we can show up to that 911 call and we can provide the video for you without you having to really do anything, right? You don't have to manage the autonomous platform essentially yourself, right? Now, so what the drones do in their downtime past that is definitely more our business. But yeah, I mean, it gets a little complex at the end of the day. But yeah, just know that if we're filming or doing any jobs or data for the county or for the city, it is the city and the county who owns that evidence and owns that data. That's not going to be spread around or anything like that. But what our drones are able to do in their downtime as far as autonomous labor is definitely something we're interested in.
Interesting. All right, Tony, I see you.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out. So you're a managed service
Yeah.
on drones, except they're insourcing you. They're not outsourcing.
Absolutely. You can think of us like Acadian. Acadian kind of takes over the EMS operation, the vehicle operation, the staffing operation of everything for an EMS unit. Similar for us with a drone unit. If somebody wants us to come in and do that full takeover, we can. However, if a drone unit has their own like 6, 7, 8 pilots, then we absolutely would love to take advantage of those people and let them be a part of that program. It's just that recruiting is absolutely tanked for public safety. You know, Austin used to have 1,000 people apply to it a month, right? And now they have something like 9 or 8 people applying to it a month, even though they're offering $15,000 signing bonuses to get applications in the door. That is how extreme the recruiting issue is. So if I say I want to come set up a DFR program, a drone as a first responder program in your city, you're also going to have to recruit 30 pilots to do it, you know, but I am making it more efficient for you. I'm making it to where you don't have to staff as many people. It kind of becomes a little bit of an oxymoron in a way.
Yeah. So real quick, I got to ask you, Daniel, what brings you out to California other than being on, quote unquote, the #1 radio show on startups in the nation? How can I impact the world with this? What brings you out to Silicon Valley? What do you do? Are you out here looking for talent? Are you out here potential sales, scaling the business? What brings you out to Silicon Valley?
Yeah, so a lot of our VCs are in Silicon Valley. So we shout out to Boost VC and Draper University for letting us stay in San Mateo. So we are always looking for extraordinary talent. We were just at the Silicon Valley Robotics meetup, Bots and Beers, really lovely guys over there. We're going to be at their summit here tomorrow. So we are always looking for extremely talented people, especially in autonomy. If that's what you work in, we definitely want to hear from you if you're interested, particularly in what we do. We are also always looking for, you know, customer demand and whatnot. We have talked to a couple of people from this area, and we are looking forward to coming to this area. It's so beautiful. It's always a wonderful day out here when the sun is shining on 280. I just absolutely love driving that road. It's incredible. And then yeah, I mean, right now in particular, we are looking for funding, but yeah, it's not really.
I don't think that ever stops for most startups. So I think it's implied as a startup, but really,
you know,
cool.
Our first 2 years, it didn't. You know, we were very lucky that, you know, we ran into Boost VC and some of their connections. We were able to take a break on that for a little while.
Well, wonderful. I mean, congratulations on all your success. How can people connect with you? We still got about 10 minutes left in the show, but I want to make sure I give you the opportunity to get that information out there.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to make a little bit of a comment on this back when we were talking about connecting with people and working with founders. You know, just come be my friend. My email is daniel@evevehicles.com. Hit me up if you want to be my buddy. You know, at the end of the day, when you're talking to people, you know, every 6 months you're going to meet new friends and startups. You know, just because of the ridiculous turnover in this industry. And, you know, when you're investing in connections, I really think that it shouldn't be like you're sitting there trying to figure out, like, what can this guy get from, what can I get out of this person? And how can I get them to do that? It's much better for you to have the attitude, especially since 90% of the events that you're going to show up to are not going to be worth your time.
You've got to read my article. Events are dead. I'm telling you. I think we see eye to eye on that. Yeah.
I mean, you have to have the idea that, you know, you're showing up to make friends, you know, and honestly, if somebody asks you to do something that takes like a minute of your time, like just do it for them. You know, I can't tell you how many times like I've invested in tons and tons of friendships, and it took forever and it came out of nowhere, but all of a sudden somebody gave me the exact right connection at the exact right time, and they had nothing to do with my industry or my type of work or whatever it was. But just making those friends and then showing up to the next thing. You know, when you show up to a party, like don't make your goal like I'm gonna find the exact right person here. You know, make your goal like I'm gonna have a lot of fun and I'm gonna make great friends, and then you will end up getting invited to the next thing.
Be that good person.
Yeah, be that good, enjoyable person. I know it's almost kind of lame, you know, but it really makes a huge impact when you're just someone who's fun to be around. You know, and then people like you, they start to trust you, and then they want to help you. You know, they're trying to find ways to help you, whether you're helping them or not.
And people can connect with you on LinkedIn too, so they can find you there.
Yeah, Daniel-Donaldson-public takes you right to my LinkedIn.
And I have to say, when we were talking during the break, there was something top of mind for you. I didn't want to blow past it. Was it still top of mind for you? I forget what that was.
Yeah, I mean that really kind of was what was top of mind for me. Was just trying to encourage people to make friendships. Honestly, the reason that this came up for me is because there got to be a point where I was really jaded when I was showing up to these events. I was like, man, forget these people, forget these events. Like I never find anything from these things or whatever, you know. And that kind of negative attitude like immediately like shows up and rubs off on people, you know. And everybody else who's showing up to those events, you know, they're running into their own issues, and you know they're working extremely hard as well. And so if you're just a pleasant part of somebody's day, like often like they will be very, very grateful, you know, to just have that one solid nice experience that made them feel good about themselves that day. And
I love that you've kept this mindset, or better yet, this heart set, because as a startup founder, you could be put through the grinder and keep that jaded perspective. Yeah. And the fact that you've held on to that to be kind of your driving force, it's no wonder you've kept such a great team together. So I'm glad that you've been here and you've done some great things. So congratulations on all
team loyalty is tough. You guys, you know, we've had practically nobody leave our startup, even through some really tough times, you know, at different points and different periods.
And that says a lot. So,
to me, that's all about, it's how you react when a problem shows up.
Yeah.
You know, like if you react with a lot of support, you know, then you get there, you know, you get the loyalty that you want. But if you start yelling at people, you know, people start fleeing your company. So
for sure. Yeah. Well, I want to pivot to, Tony, I want you to tell us how we can connect with you and what's next for you.
Sure. I think my email is tony@hcvcorp.com. That's Human Capital Venture Corp.com. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. One, thank you. I felt that I was, you know, pushed forward 5 years when you were talking about the drones. I don't know if you guys had the same relation. I felt like time passed and I'm in the future, you know, like, so amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
We definitely have lots to connect. I'm already thinking about a couple different angles in critical infrastructure, oil and gas. Other companies are trying to do it, so there could be a whole different market.
Awesome.
So we can talk about it. I think that coming up with some maybe, I don't know, cliches or things like what you're talking about is, you know, building relationship before you need it, right? This is actually the definition of some word that it has a bad connotation now, which is the art of schmoozing. The guy's a schmoozer, right? It has a background, but really what it is just build relationship before you need it. So I think, you know, that's when you go to the events and stuff. You know, another one is wherever you go, there you are. Just make the best of it, man. You're already there, right? You already made the drive. You came over there. Just do the best you can. Impact somebody's night, day, whatever it is. And, you know, from what we're trying to do, let's just be part of that community, right? It's not what you get out of it, it's what you put in. That's really just that, you know, simple.
And you're putting a lot of effort into the fund of funds. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this whole thing came out as part of a community, right? You and I connected through the same reasons. It's kind of like laws of attraction, right? And there's always people who have a confusion in their mind, which they take nice for naive, and it's on them. It's not on you. Yeah. You don't get to change yourself. You know, we are who we are. So as part of the community, I got to build Bill and Megan and everybody else, yourself. And we've just been collaborating. It's been building this amazing community. We've done amazing stuff. And it's been just kind of a gradual relationship. So now Ignite has a fund of funds. where we basically, I think it was a mutual fund for investment. And we basically build relationship with other VCs that have the expertise in that verticals. We're all about AI. We focus on 3 vertical horizontals, however you look at it: enterprise, health tech, and cybersecurity. I'm partnering with them to basically lead the portfolio for cybersecurity. And, we can actually just invest as part of fund of fund, but also want to create a hybrid that those that are aligned with the themes that we have, we can actually invest directly as well. I've been part of other platforms. There's a lot of other platforms. We have a lot of great successes as part. It starts through mentoring, right? Through these ecosystems that are out there. They get to me, I mentor them. Hey, I like the guy. The guy's coachable. I can help him. Make an impact. Great. Let's come here. Now we'll connect them with the ecosystem and get them to the money. Yeah. But that's really what the goal is.
Yeah, and people can find you also on LinkedIn as well, right?
Absolutely. Is LinkedIn/in/Zirnoon. My last name, Zirnoon.
I love it. All right. And definitely, last but not least, Paul, I want to thank you for being here. How can people connect with you? And what's next for you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I have the handle P.A. Ratner. My middle name's Andrew, initials PAR. So P.A. Ratner, you'll find me on LinkedIn. In addition to that, a couple things you all just said too, what's next for me. We actually, in Walnut Creek, I'm on the board for the Walnut Creek Chamber. And that's where our company's been headquartered since 1997. We just did a Founders and Funders event a couple weeks ago. Went great. Sports tech and health tech companies are mostly in that area, in that region. So we kind of focused on that. And I think I talk about these events. I think you need to build equity in the events that you have. You have to see the first one, the second one, how does it build? And I think that's how you get more out of them, is when you know a few people there, you get a few more that you meet and you meet new people through them. And I think that's kind of the key to the events world. Whereas I agree, they kind of, people go to the same stuff, it might die a little bit. And some of the stuff about connecting, I have a connection for you, Daniel, and I'll leave with this thought. We talk about AI a lot, replacing jobs. I think what you're doing is you're building something that's where we need jobs, right? You mentioned people not coming into public safety. And I think that's where this AI discussion should be going, as opposed to replacing people, is filling gaps in our communities.
Yeah. I often think that people believe that AI will be reducing the pie, but it actually grows it. And so I'm glad that you pointed that out. And the other thing is I loved what I heard you say about building. And it goes back to someone who just quickly sells the one-off. If you're looking to do a one-off event, same thing. It's you just want that one boom and you move on. But really, it's a process. Anyway, I want to thank you all for being here today. You guys are amazing. Love to have you all back anytime. I know Paul and Tony, you're in the area, so I know you'll be back. Brian,
on the radio.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Brian, great to always see you and have you here. I want to thank everybody for listening to Silicon Valley Impact. We'll see you next week. Be safe.